Hey everyone, today we're going to be sharing with you how to choose the best van for your conversion. This is something that I've personally went through. I went through all the options trying to find the best van for me, and so I'm going to give you some options, some tips, and things to ask yourself when you're trying to choose a van for your own conversion. So, before we get into that, please make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up if you want to see more content from us. That helps you get on the road in the way that you want to be on the road. So the first things I'm going to tell you is the options. There's a couple of options when choosing vans. There's everything from the classic VW van to the 4x4 off-road $100,000 Sprinter. So there's lots of options for you to choose from, and I'm going to give you a couple. So I've got a Sprinter van, so that would be the first option I'm going to share with you guys. There's low-top cargo vans, which carpenters usually use for their tools, and you can find those online on Kijiji or Craigslist if you're in the States. There are Ford Transit vans. You can get those in diesel or gas. There's Ram ProMasters, pre-converted conversion vans, which are like camper vans that you get usually secondhand from an older person who is ready to sell that and move on with their life. And then the VW Classics. You could also convert a car. You could convert a mini Prius. There's so many things that people are able to do. I've seen people who live in Teslas. There's no limit to what you can do. The thing that does limit you, however, for the most part, is your budget. So you know all those options. Now I'm going to share some questions you can ask yourself when you're trying to get into this to help you narrow down your search and get a good idea of what type of van is right for the life that you want to be living with it. So the biggest question, like I just mentioned, is budget. Is it a $5,000 budget or is it a $100,000 no cap budget? Maybe you have a $1,500 budget. Everything is doable and you just got to work with what you have. $5,000 can get you a lot more than you think you could if you're a little bit creative with your money. For example, my van was $5,000 and I never thought I'd be able to get something like this for $5,000. So you just have to get creative with what you want and find ways to make that happen. Obviously, if your budget is $2,000, you're not going to end up with a Sprinter for the most part, or a brand new Ford Transit or anything like that. So you just got to be willing to be flexible for what you want and find and get rid of what you don't want. Another thing you're going to ask yourself is, what are you using it for? Is it going to be a weekend van where you head to the mountains for the weekend and you're back home in your apartment for the rest of the week, so you maybe don't need the necessities that other people would need? Is it going to be you're living in it in the city, 9 to 5 you're working, and then you're just coming here to lay your head at night and save some money on rent? There are so many questions to ask yourself, and at the end of the day, you know what you're going to be using it for. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to be realistic with that. So you just got to be realistic and say, am I really going to need to stand up, or can my budget be flexible in that way? There are a couple questions there. Another question you got to ask yourself is, how far do you want to go in the van? Do you just want to stay around the city that you live in and not have to worry so much about the type of gas mileage you'll be getting on your vehicle? Some vans like the Sprinter or the Ford Transit diesel will get a lot better mileage than a VW van or a pre-converted van that is already built out for you. So those are some questions to ask yourself. Another big question is, how long do you even want to be living in this van? So for me, I knew I wanted something that would be long-term, more of a luxury apartment. And some people just want to be doing this for a year to save up money and move on to the next thing. So it depends on what you need. So if you need something that's going to last you 10 years, you might want to go a bit beyond your budget or go to the max of your budget so that you're getting something that will last you those full 10 years versus getting something once and finding yourself stuck with it because you didn't know exactly what you wanted when you were going after choosing a van. If you like what you're watching, please make sure to comment below and let us know what type of van you would want and why you would want it. And don't forget to say hi to Little Belle by clicking the thumbs up button and letting us know that you guys like this video so we can create more for you. Another question is, what are your mechanical skills? So this is something I had to get real with myself when I was choosing my van. At the beginning, a VW van sounded amazing to me, but after realizing I wasn't a full mechanic and I wasn't prepared to be pulled over on the side of the road with a broken van, more often than not, I decided that wasn't the van for me. I've kind of had a happy medium with a Sprinter, an older Sprinter. So older Sprinters are easier to work on. And I'm mostly speaking to Sprinters because that's the experience that I had. I didn't drive many other vans after I set my eyes on Sprinters, so I knew that was for me. I knew I wanted the T1N version that was older and I could work on it by myself. And I was willing to get my hands dirty and figure out what I had to do to make it mechanically sound. Whereas if I got something like a pre-converted conversion van, I could work on it on my own, but I might not know what I'm doing. And there's not as many resources out there for me personally. One more big question amongst many other questions you could be asking yourself is, how stealthy do you want it to be? If you don't know what stealthy is, that just means when you're parked on the road, do people know that you're living inside of it? So if you're going for a pre-converted conversion van or a camper, it's going to be pretty obvious that there's someone inside of there. Whereas if you get a Sprinter van with no windows and a low profile solar panel, most people won't know that you're in there, which would be good for city living. So there are a lot of questions to be asking yourself when you're trying to choose the best van for yourself, and budget plays a massive role in it, as does what you're trying to do with the van. So you got to ask these questions to yourself and be really realistic with the answers and not hide some answers from yourself, because it can be done. If you know that you want a VW, for example, and you realize it's probably not realistic, but it's a dream of yours. So just work with yourself on that. Now, I'm going to list off a couple of scenarios that would help you, and you can fit yourself into these categories and see what van might be best for you. So, for example, you're working in the city, you want to save money on rent, you're going to be working 9 to 5 in your normal office job, and you just want to have something you can go away on the weekends in. You're probably going to want something you don't need to stand up in, because you'll be able to save money on that anyways. So maybe an old carpenter's van or plumber's van or whatever would be good for you. Those are usually GMC Savannas, Chevy Astros, those type of vans. Another scenario is you're like me. You know you want this long term, but you also want to be able to save money. However, you don't really want to give up comfort. You want to be comfortable, have a nice big bed, all of that stuff. And I knew I wanted to stand up in my van, so I went for a high top Sprinter van, an older year, so that I'd be saving money right initially. Another scenario is maybe you're retired, you have a lump sum of money put away, and you know you want to be able to do this with comfort, without worrying about mechanical issues, and just get on the road, come home, not think twice about what's going on in the van. So something like a brand new Ford Transit or Sprinter van or Ram ProMaster would be really good for you. Another scenario would be maybe you don't have the skills to build out a van yourself, and you don't have the budget to pay someone else to do that for you. Your best option, realistically, is getting something that's pre-converted. That would be a camper van. I think they're usually Ford or GMC, and those work great for people, and you can usually get them at a really low cost, because most of the time it's older people who are just ready to get rid of all the vehicles they have, and they've traveled in their family with it, and it's tried and tested. Another scenario is someone who's had a dream of living in a VW and isn't willing to sacrifice on that dream and has the money to make that happen. A VW is a great option if you want the cool look of it all. So, there's a lot I just shared with you, information overload, and taking all of that into account, I think if you're watching this, you have a pretty good idea of what you already want to begin with. So my best advice is to take a piece of paper, answer all those questions I just had you ask yourself, and at the end of it, I think you will know what's best for you and what type of van will help you get on the road faster and live the life that you want to live. So if you like that, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment below telling us what van you would like to have and why it would work best for you. And maybe we can help each other figure out what vans work best in certain scenarios. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great week. Bye.